Hi everyone, and welcome to the OklaRoots YouTube channel. In today's embroidery tutorial, we're going to be going over a quick last-minute gift idea. Now, this would have been perfect for Valentine's Day, but we have already passed Valentine's Day. So if you need a quick last-minute gift, especially for the kiddos in your life for like Easter or any upcoming holiday, this is a fantastic one, and it's also a great scrap buster. Today, we're going to be making pencil toppers. I think these are adorable, and I think I might be in the minority on this. I don't see a whole lot of people making pencil toppers, but to me, these are so fun. And when I've given these as class gifts, they have been a huge hit. So pencil toppers are small. They don't require a lot of stitching. They don't require a lot of material. I just use some vinyl on the front. As you can see, I have an applique version here, and then I have another version that just uses thread to stitch out that cute little design. And then on the back, I use some felt. I try to keep this as inexpensive as possible. Like I said, if you already have vinyl scraps, fabric scraps, some felt, you could spend really nothing to make these, and they're a huge hit. They've always been very popular to everyone we've gifted them to. So in today's tutorial, we're going to be making an applique circle pencil topper. I want to keep it as simple as possible. I will be using the multi-needle Racoma over there. You could also do this on a single needle machine. The pattern is from Crashing Waves. Tiffany, as always, thank you so much for allowing me to use your patterns in the tutorials. They are stitched together so fast, so perfectly. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. As you can see on this one here, I used variegated thread. We've been a big fan of variegated thread lately, and variegated thread is just thread that changes colors as it goes on the spool. It's really cool. So I think we'll use that again today just for fun. If you have a fabric that has a really small print, this is a perfect project for that. You could also just skip the applique if you want and just do the steps and let it do the satin stitch around, and it would still be adorable. So I'm gonna show you a few different variations today. If you haven't already checked out Crashing Waves website, please make sure you click the link down below and go check out all of her patterns. There are so many projects: bookmarks, sanitizer holders, pencil toppers, snap tabs, so many things. So many fun in the hoop project. So go check it out, stock up, because we'll be doing more of those as well. If you're new to the OklaRoots YouTube channel, please consider clicking subscribe down below. If at any point you like this video, please give it a like. Any questions, comments, anything at all, leave them down in the comment section down below. There's not going to be timestamps for this because this is a very quick project. It should be a very quick video. All right, let's get started. So here's the material that I'll be using today. Cutaway. Always cutaway when we do these fun little in the hoop projects. You want a really nice firm foundation for this. For the base, I'll be using vinyl. Now I have a bunch of different scraps here. You could definitely just use one sheet of vinyl and make it the same for all of them, which is what I did on these previous versions. But I want to show you that you can really scrap it up. Grab some scraps of your favorite vinyls, mix it up. If you're going to be doing the applique, you want to have something that has a smaller print. So I'll be using some cuts from this fabric here since the prints are pretty small, but I'm going to show you a couple variations as well where there's no applique. For the back of these, especially if they're for kiddos, I like to use felt. Now you could always use vinyl or cork, but felt works really well for this. Here are some standard tools I'll be using today. I like to use this 505 spray in order to adhere the felt to the back. Now you don't have to do that. It does make a little bit more work and another step, so we'll go over that, but I do like to use this. My scissors, I like to have my Kai fabric scissors, some small snips, and then these curved embroidery scissors. I also like to have some Scotch tape on hand. A chopstick is going to be helpful, especially if you're using the 505 spray. And as always, I'm using my Mighty Hoop. The size I'm using today is the 8 by 9 inch Mighty Hoop. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut out your cutaway stabilizer so it's just a little bit bigger than your bottom hoop. And now all you have to do is lay your stabilizer on top of that bottom hoop, grab your top hoop, and there you go. If you're using one sheet of vinyl here for all of this, you definitely could include that in your Mighty Hoop. You don't have to float the vinyl on top. Since I'm using scraps, I will be floating this today. All right, once you have your hoop prepped, let's go to the embroidery machine and get it all set up. So the first thing I'm gonna do is insert my hoop into my machine. Now, as you see, I already have my design loaded on here. You could definitely alter your design in your software. For example, I could do this in Chroma Luxe or Chroma Inspire so that you could add in another row if you'd like. I'm okay with just this number today. First, I'm gonna pick my thread colors. There are only 5 steps in this pattern. The first step is going to be laying out the design on your cutaway. So I like to use a dark color for that, so I'm going to use my black. So the next step is going to trace out our circle for our applique. It's going to show us exactly where we need to put our fabric for our applique. I'm also going to use black for that. The third step is going to stitch down the fabric for the applique. For that, I'm going to use the same colored thread that I'll use for the satin stitch. So for me, that's needle 8. The fourth step is the satin stitch, which makes that beautiful, nice circle around the applique design. And the last step is going to be holding it all together. So this last step you will see, so pick a color maybe that matches your felt if you don't want to see any of the stitches on the back, or matches the vinyl if you don't want to see the stitches on the front, or something completely different if you really want to see the stitches everywhere. As you can see, I have my machine set to automatic manual. I do want it to stop after every single step. I pretty much need to do something on every single one of these steps. So instead of adding a float to the steps that I need to work on, I'm just going to make it stop every time. Okay, as always, the next step is going to be to trace out the design to make sure I don't hit the side of my hoop. All right, it looks like we're good. So let's run the first step, which is just going to lay out the design. This step allows us to see exactly where we need to put our vinyl, especially if you're going to be using scraps of vinyl like I am today for the different pencil toppers. You want to see exactly where each one's going to stitch out so you can tape it down in the right spot. So now I'm going to take this back to the table and figure out vinyl placement. All right, so now I have my scraps of vinyl, I have my stitch out, and I have some tape. So now I'm going to figure out exactly how I want everything to go. So I'm going to carefully place my vinyl where I want it and make sure it covers my designs. So this one's a little big. I can trim it down a bit. So I can have 2 of these over here on the end. Use this vinyl. Once I have it where I want it, I'm just going to grab some tape and tape it down. All right, I think I'll use this blue next. And it's okay if these vinyls overlap a little bit. You just don't want them to overlap into the other design. So I am going to trim this down to make sure that this vinyl here doesn't overlap into these circles over here, since that's not where I want them. So make sure it completely covers your stitch out. And then for the last one, I'll use this small scrap on the top. And then I'll just cut myself a small pink scrap here for the bottom. So like I said, you can use one large scrap here. Even a piece of vinyl this big in total is still a scrap. So you don't have to mix it up like I am. I'm just trying to show you that you can if you wanted to. All right, let's take this back to the machine. So now we're going to run the step that's going to sew on top of our vinyl, and it's going to make these circles that show us where our applique will go. Okay, so here are our circles. So like, for example, right here, I have that pretzel inside that circle. I like that, so I'm not going to add applique there, but I might add applique in some of these other spots. So I have a piece of fabric cut, and all I have to do is cut out pieces of this that are just bigger than the circle, but not super big. So if there's any particular print in here that you really like, for example, I think these little guys right here are hilarious, make sure you cut that out. It's called fussy cutting. Make sure you cut out the pieces you like so that they're in the center of your cut, and then we can center that over the circle and try to get as much of it in the design as possible. And once again, just make sure if you overlap your fabric, the edges of your fabric don't go into the other circles. Okay, once you have some scraps the way you want them, let's just tape them down. And as you can see, I'm only adding the applique to 3 of the circles. The other 3 circles, I'm just gonna leave. And we'll just do the satin stitch around the designs that are on the vinyl. There's a lot of tape, I know. Don't worry about it. All right, let's go put this in the machine. Okay, so we're at a point now where we can really remove most of this tape. If some of the stitching went over your tape, that's fine. If you're using this masking tape, you should be okay. The only time I've struggled with the masking tape is when I use it on very shiny, slick vinyl. The glue from the tape likes to stay on it. So if you have that problem, if you use some of your machine oil and just put it on a paper towel, that will get the glue off of that vinyl. Okay, so wherever you added the fabric for the applique, now you're gonna wanna cut it down. So I'm using cotton woven here, which is just like quilt cotton. You'd get it from any fabric store. You could also use cotton lycra, which is like a spandexy material, and it stretches really nice. That is perfect for applique because you can stretch it up while you pull on it and then cut it, and you get really close to those stitches. The goal here is we want to get as close as possible to the stitching because the satin stitching will cover the raw edges, but it's not super thick. So if you don't get too close, you're going to have a problem. Remember, if you have any spots like I do, like these 3 cuts here where I didn't add any fabric, don't cut your vinyl. Your vinyl is your whole thing, so just leave it alone. Only cut where you added fabric for that applique design. Okay, so as you can see, I cut down the fabric on my 3 applique spots. The other 3, I did not cut anything. The vinyl is left alone. So now we're going to take this to the embroidery machine and we're going to do the satin stitching. So that's just going to make a nice satin color all the way around each circle. Variegated thread is fun here. You'll see, it's fun. All right, there we go. Isn't that variegated thread fun? I love that. This is such a fun little thing. And those prints are so small, but they work really well for this. Also, make sure, I should have told you this before, but when you're aligning your prints, remember the bottom is over here on the left. So just make sure you look at the design on your screen so that it's oriented right. You know, you don't want your design to be 90 degrees off. Just think about it. So now I'm going to use this 505 spray to attach the felt to the back of this. One thing I want you to remember though, is that after you're done, the pencil is actually going to go between this layer of cutaway and your felt, all right? So you're going to need to be able to remove some of the glue. If you're not comfortable doing that, then you can just tape this down. So I do suggest cutting your felt by about in half. You don't need a whole sheet of it, just enough to cover all of your designs. And what you could do is just grab your tape and tape this down, and then you won't have to worry at all about separating the glue from the cutaway to get your pencil in there. I'm going to use the glue because that's what I normally do, and I'm going to show you how to deal with that. However, tape might be easiest for you. So I'm just going to spray the back of my felt with my glue and then lay it glue side down over the back here. There we go. All right. Now we can take this back to the machine, and the final step is just going to be stitching out the design of our pencil topper, and then you'll be done. There you go, you're all done. And now you can cut this out. So I like to cut it in strips first to just kind of separate them and then cut them out one by one. It's a lot easier than trying to precisely cut them out while they're all together like this. So when I cut it out, I start from the bottom, and with my scissors, I pretty much keep my right hand with the scissors in the same spot the whole time, and I rotate the fabric with my left hand. So instead of thinking about like cutting out around the fabric and keeping the fabric still, I'm moving the fabric and just slowly pushing down on my scissors while I do that. It's always good to cut farther away from the stitches than you think you need to. So I cut anywhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch. Sometimes when you're cutting this, you're gonna look at it and go, oh, that's so wonky, it's so wavy, it's gonna look terrible. You'll notice it while you're cutting it, you won't notice it in the end, trust me. So now I have this little guy cut out. I'm just going to trim the threads on the back. So now, like I said, I have glue attaching the felt to my cutaway, and I want to separate that. So I'm going to take a chopstick here, And using this chopstick, I'm just going to insert it in between the cutaway layer and the felt layer and gently push it up and then move it around. Just like that. Move it back and forth right here. Maybe take the fatter end of the chopstick and put it in there. It's a pretty tight fit. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to stay on the pencil. So now here I have a pencil. I'm just going to take the eraser. If it's tricky, you just twist it in. Just twist it in there. There you go. And look at that. Easy peasy. Isn't that fun? So now just cut out the rest of them and you're done. All right, there we go. There are our adorable little pencil toppers. Aren't they fun? I love using small prints of fabric and having those fun little details in there. Have fun with these. And I'm telling you, once you make one set of these, you're just gonna keep making them. So I hope you have a lot of people in your life that you can gift these to because they're so cute and they really are. They really are such a big hit with the younger people in your life. They're adorable. So I hope that you love making these as much as I do. Go check out all of the other designs. There are a lot, but I feel like we could use some more. Tiffany, I think we could use some more designs. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. Get out there and make something. Bye.